Once more I return to this world of the living, on the precipice of catacombs. This place, this rain-strewn, spirit-infested place, is on the very edge of the Erdtree's Plateau, it would seem. So, that being the case, this being reflective of the wider world, I ought to be able to what is the word? I ought to be able to investigate this place here, in order to glean details about the actual sanctuary of the Erdtree far to the north, or the city around it. Given that is the case, let us see what we can find. What life will we find here? What items? Will there be people? What indicators of the challenges that we shall face shall emerge to greet us here? We can see here, flowers are to be found in little patches in this area, which reflects the inner sanctums of the various temples to America that we have found. Or churches, I should say. These guardians, these little plantonites, seem to be in quite notable numbers here as well. Ooh, Guardian Spear. That ought to be interesting. Let's see what it says. Weapon comprising a long handle and a broad blade, sharpened from the hard wood of old trees, wielded by guardians of minor Erdtrees, known as experts in the arts of combat. The power of this weapon scales greatly with dexterity. So these are warriors of great dexterity. They guard minor Erdtrees, possibly implying that there's going to be something similar as guardian to the major Erdtree, but perhaps distinguished in some important way. They are experts in the arts of combat, implying that they have significant training and experience with this matter, despite the fact that they're planting themselves in front of the Erdtrees in such a way that they might appear to simply wait and live out a life like a plant which has no real opportunities to practice. I suppose since they have a community and they have time where they're wandering about rather than actually embedded in the soil, this might help. But I wonder if they have some sort of tutor. And it's very much worth noting, these weapons are made from wood, which obviously fits the creatures that have wood growing out of them. But the blades are made from the wood of old trees. It makes me think, are these weapons actually formed from minor Erdtrees themselves? They don't deal any holy damage or anything of the sort. But, even so, hard wood of old trees rings a distant sort of bell. It feels like this might be speaking to something much more ancient. Darker, perhaps. Broad blades, long handles. Sharpened, despite being wood. Oh! A wise beast desires to point me to something interesting. Let's see what we might find over this way. Oh! A path of descent and a sparking little bug. Lightning? Lightning striking amongst the man-eater bats who are hanging from the bottom of graves? Oh my. Well, that is an interesting detail. Lightning to be found right at the edge of the Erdtree. What could this possibly be referring to? Oh dear! In groups of threes, these things are quite dangerous. Guardian garb. Let us see what these have to tell us, just like the weapons. Engraved! Engraved golden garb. Engraving means it's something hard that is cut into. Something hewn, perhaps. Tingles the memory. Makes one think of cutting into wood. Worn by the guardians of the minor Erdtrees, in accordance with ancient pact with the Erdtree. It is said that their deaths led not to destruction, but instead to renewed eternal lives as guardians. So the Erdtree has the authority to revive the dead without any sort of trouble. In this particular form, being birthed anew as creatures of wood, rather than flesh of a normal sort. But this implies those spirits that are wanting to be returned to the roots. Oh, they have an interesting fate awaiting for them. Because it's implying that the Erdtree destroys all those who are supposed to return to the roots. And Dee said that was everyone. So the Erdtree, like a tree eating corpses placed at its foot like compost, is devouring the spirits of those who are buried into it. Very, very interesting. I suppose this might be why we are only able to find one ash per boss room, where the Erdtree's roots have been strangling visible corpses to quite the significant degree, in their dozens, I think. Oh, tarnished golden sunflower found from one of these. These, I think, are used to form holy water pots. Large flowers that bloom facing the Erdtree. Materials used for crafting items found near minor Erdtrees. Though wilted and faded, it still retains holy essence. These creatures here, they are not blooming at all. I don't necessarily think that they're wilting, but they're gnarled and aren't properly blossoming like you think that they should from a pact of this sort. Why does it look like it's old, almost dead wood, when the tree is reviving them with a blessing that protects them from death? Perhaps it has to do with the fact that the tree roots are being consumed with death root. The parasite is undermining the capacity for a healthy life, which presumably, since they're planting themselves in the soil surrounding these Erdtrees, should properly be giving them additional nutrients and ensuring that they are secured for the future. Here we shall notice, yes indeed, an Erdtree avatar is to be found here. This Erdtree avatar... Let's see. It's made of wood, so fire should properly be able to deal with it, I should think. Let's see. Oh, I do have some fire grease as well. That should be helpful. Let's see. And... now, since this creature is right by this minor Erdtree, and it represents the Erdtree itself, I should think this figure here represents some sort of hulking brute that is defending the Erdtree itself. Perhaps a greater Erdtree avatar, or someone who models themselves after the Erdtree, and seems therefore to look quite like the avatars thereof. Perhaps, since they have a... let's see. Since they have essentially a scarf going with its two ends on either side, heading back behind them, and they appear to have some sort of robe where their legs are exposed on either side, and, if I remember correctly, they have essentially a high-brimmed collar going up. Maybe we should expect some of these traits to be present in the Guardian of the Erdtree. But especially, I think, some sort of large two-handed hammer and the ability to wield light as weaponry. But wait. 1 second. Wait. Have I... Oh, dear. What am I thinking? I haven't faced one of these things before. What is my mind doing? Recognizing this creature. As if I've actually engaged with one. And yet... something designed to push you. To make you question how much skill and prowess you actually have. How well prepared to move forward in the game you are. Game? The game of life, I suppose. Of competition. Of struggle. That could be a problem. This is a challenge that is extremely rough. So the guardian of the Erdtree falls, gnarled and root-like as it is. And so, we find that it releases to us crystal tears. Crystal tears which are found in the basins normally in front of these Erdtrees. That's most intriguing. So, these defensive avatars, these creatures that are embodiments of these trees, they collect, if I remember correctly, the slowly formed crystal tears that emerge where the Erdtree's bounty falls to the ground. Now, since we've only found these in accompaniment of minor Erdtrees and at a Church of America that was specialized in them, I think it's safe to say it's talking about the bounty of the minor Erdtrees. But, at the same time, we might just find, once we actually reach the Erdtree itself, some sort of Erdtree's bounty that is coming from the tree, or an indication for why that might not be. What sort of bounty might have fallen from the greater tree? That tree which was once connected to the great tree's roots, according to our dear root resin friend. This is going to be rough. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I sense these bats shall likely make life very hard for me. What could this be? What lies under the Erdtree's Plateau, which is represented by these man-eating bats? I suppose, at least since I've defeated the Erdtree's avatar there, I am now in a position to properly use my magics against those. You really can see the dexterity and the mastery of combat that these people are noted to employ. Now, masked, golden-faced, with silver hair. Does that remind you of something? Gold on the face, with silvery hair. Well, these are thorns. So I'm not quite sure that we could say that's hair, but it resembles it at the very least. And it's worth noting that the shield talks about someone who is reviving in the land of the Erdtree, the lands between, after having perished elsewhere. And these Erdtree guardians are beneficiaries of an ancient pact with the Erdtree, which gives them a very similar treatment. Most intriguing, no? I wonder why these pots are so often broken. Could it be that these people are emerging from these pots, planted in the ground near these minor Erdtrees? I have a fun idea. Aha! Well, this has made things a little bit easier, hasn't it? Darn it, get out from under there! It's good that this lightning isn't striking me down as I'm sitting on it. What could this lightning underground. Under the place that the Erdtree resides. Could be above ground. Great winged beasts near the Erdtree that have lightning to their name, which simply are right at the precipice filled with ruins and spreading lightning all over. No! Darn it, that was the entire reason I came down here. The thing just runs away. I am sorry, Turtle. I have failed you. Interesting that the lightning avoided these winged beasts as well. So close, and yet it was not drawn to them. And we see ocean right at the edge here. Looking at our map, we do see a central ocean right, presumably, to the south of where the Erdtree is. And while this is not the south, per se, the contours of the continent should be such that you could see it, possibly, emerging on various different sides thereof. Oh, actually, I remember. The Erdtree itself, I think, is planted in the ocean, based on my memory of being here. Yes, we were able to see that. Oh, I'll have to return. Find this area right by the raised plateau. It has lightning and ruins strewn all about. Great winged beasts, which might be underground. Wonder where exactly I would be able to find the equivalent of this. Thank you once again, Turtle. And now we face the ignominy of doing this again. I wonder if we could possibly target that little dung beetle. Excellent. Lightning strike. One of the incantations of the capital's ancient dragon cult? Oh, that's interesting. So these bats are representing ancient dragons. Very curious. Why should there be ancient dragons by the Erdtree? Dragons roost in the tree's boughs. Summons a bolt of lightning that scatters and spreads around the surrounding area. The incantation can be used or cast repeatedly. Ancestors of the modern dragons, the ancient dragons had scales of gravelstone and wielded lightning as their weapon. It said that they once attacked Lendel, the royal capital. I see, so these gravestones which are jutting out of the very walls, represent the defeat of these ancient dragons. So that's why they're laid at the Erdtree's feet, rather than actually being up above. I think I did see one bat up there. I think rather than exterminating all of these, however, I shall move on. I've claimed what I needed to, what the wise beast has guided me to here. Oh yes, it is interesting that this stone, which makes up the plateau itself, is made of gold. What? The tree has something like the meteors that we found in the bottom of those mines, which must have... Yes, that's interesting. That's good evidence. Good evidence to corroborate the idea that the Erdtree was from a meteor, as we suspected. Well, let's return to the plateau and see what else we can find. We found an avatar, a defender of the Erdtree, which seems like it shall be analogous to some sort of hulking brute at the Erdtree capital, Lendel. We found these minor guardians, which emerge out of the soil itself and have ancient pacts with the Erdtree, granting them immortality through the form of rebirth, whereas souls are otherwise devoured by the tree. We found dragons at the foot of the Erdtree, dashed, sundered, and yet lightning still abounds, as if echoing the furor with which they attacked the tree. We've also found jars. Jars all over the place, laid at the foot of the Erdtree. What could this mean? Why would there be jars around the Erdtree's roots? What have jars to do with the Erdtree? Especially since these jars very much look like Alexander. Engraved golden mask. A mask is something to cover one's identity. And this, I should say, also very much looks like the statue of that man at the Church of Pilgrimage. The mask's texture, the fact that it's gilded, reminds me very strongly of the silvery, iron-like stone that it was made out of. Gilded all the same. worn by the guardians of the Erdtree. In accordance with the ancient pact with the Erdtree, it is said that their deaths led not to destruction, but instead renewed eternal life. I wonder, was that man then resurrected? Has he revived multiple times from death in order to serve the Erdtree? Ooh, demi-humans. That is incredibly interesting. Demi-humans at the Erdtree capital. Oh dear. Demi-humans with firebombs. That's intriguing. The tree has enemies which bellow and create fire. The giants, the trolls who roar and supposedly spread landslides, I believe, according to the roar talisman. Their bellowing roars desolated nature, triggered avalanches, and whipped up storms of flame. The demi-humans certainly bellowed at me and created fire, it would seem here. Or were they just gathering and cultivating it along with these smoldering butterflies, which themselves are known for starting fires? These smoldering butterflies, which are associated with Melina. I wonder. The giants and Melina. What have they to do with bells? The mausoleum prowls. And I recognize those bells. Those bells. That stamping. I heard this at the moment of my revival. What could this mean? Oh, America. He is your unwanted child. And we see a sacred beast with tendrils and beak, along with the false dragons, right here, at the edge of the Erdtree, at the edge of this plateau where we could descend further. To a different side of the continent. It is like Caelid is in the east, and is separated from Limgrave. Is there something to do with this sacred animal? Further. Wait. That's the sound of a scarab. But I don't see a scarab. There doesn't seem to be one nearby. The trees are blocking the way. Makes it very difficult. But... oh. Sparkling. Motes that I know come from scarabs. And yet... these things... this... is not a scarab. Those 5 children of the greater beast, the the land octopus. They're surrounding that chiming empty space where the scarabs are supposed to be. Is this... Let's see here. Ah. Golden scarab worn directly on the head. These scarabs roll bumps of incantations during their labors. Slightly reduces FP of incantations, but increases the damage taken. As scarabs approach death, they abandon their rolled treasure and stretch their wings to journey to its home nest. Okay. We found this, painted as a reward while we were facing this exact Erdtree. While we were on the continent over there, we were looking at this Erdtree, past what I now know to be the Church of Pilgrimage, and we were looking at the angle of the scarab's return. But if scarabs are returning in the direction of the Altus Plateau, I think we know that's what its name is. If we know scarabs are coming from here and journeying towards the tree in a path between these places, oh, then they end up exactly here. Scarabs return to this place, wherever this is, beyond the plateau of the Erdtree's capital, the route that leads across rocky terrain towards raised areas. Elevated to a similar degree, in fact, to this plateau. So if they're similar to a plateau, perhaps these would be called mountaintops. So, we find scarabs being suggested to return to some place associated with land octopi in the mountaintops beyond the Erdtree. Interesting. That ought to be extremely, extremely important later on, once we are able to travel to the foot of the Erdtree. What? My word. That is a person. This female bat. She sings of tears falling. They were supposed to be mothers. And yet they are cursed by the anguish of the Golden One. Golden One, why are you angry? I cannot bear this. That fallen woman. Tears of despair. Curse placed upon them. are some dark secrets buried in the shadow of the Erdtree. Women bereft of their birthrights, stripped, cast aside and fallen, made to reside in ruins, in shadows. The toll of death, a bell it rings, as if to draw my soul back into that place, that crypt. I must bid you farewell. Let's rest again. I cannot endure this life. This struggle I must take a rest from. To be stripped of the chance to birth, to see new generations of life to flourish. What great tragedy this is. What madness could take that away? See the cataclysmic desolation of so many people. Be treated like animals like that. I must dream. I must rest. So that my spirit may be soothed. My agitation